Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour here on GeForce TV. I'm your wingman, Cam K. I want to thank you all for joining me. It is race week. Yes, it is. After a week of time away, the NASCAR Pinty Series is going to head back out on the road to Autodrome Chaudière for a return for the first time in several years. How excited are you? In the chat, I want to hear from you as we talk about the NASCAR Pinty Series this weekend. No good names left. Nice to see you in the chat. Thank you for your enthusiasm as we start this brand new episode. We're going to be talking about the entry list, which was officially released today for the Chaudière event. I've got two screens up so I can see your comments on Facebook and I can see your comments on YouTube as well. I want to thank Clinton and Adam once again at GeForce TV, Spencer Mullen, for allowing me this opportunity to talk the NASCAR Pinty Series. We really appreciate all you guys tuning in. We'll go back and talk about the race at Mosport, or as you know it as CTMP. It was a last lap drama between Kevin Lacroix and Gary Clute. Jeff Gottler, it better not rain. We don't want to see any rain. You would know better than I, Jeff, but I would assume that they'll race on Sunday if it does rain on Saturday. We don't need that because I absolutely love this racetrack. Autodrome Chaudière has some of the most passionate fans in the NASCAR Pinty Series, and I know they are desperately wanting this race to happen. As as am I. I really, really like this race. There's a good amount of cars that we're expecting to be there. Now, before we get into the actual Chaudière event itself, let's go into this past weekend. We had a couple of NASCAR Pinty Series drivers that were in action. So a lot of drivers, Lessard, Marc-Antoine Cameron, Alex Tagliani, all running out in the dirt at Drummond. We also had some really cool stuff taking place, which was the RS1 Series out in Western Canada. If you're not aware, Avion Motorsports puts this program on the RS1 Series. Of course, it's the Super Seal Cup Series, and it had names that you probably recognize from the NASCAR Pinty Series alumni Noel and Adam Dowler. You also have Jason Whites running out there this season. But also we had some current NASCAR Pinty Series drivers head out there for the RS1 Series. And we saw them here. We've got these two names right here. The number 16 car there is Gary Clute running that 16 Chevrolet. And JP Bergeron in the number 19. It looks like very much like a Martin Truex car, doesn't it? They ran out there on the Area 27 track. Now, if you don't know, Area 27 is a absolutely beautiful road course that was put together and designed by a guy who runs number 27 in the Cup Series. Does anybody remember? Jacques Villeneuve was part of the design team for this beautiful track out in BC. Let's take a look at this thing. Look at this absolutely beautiful facility that they raced on. I had somebody actually come out and ask whether or not we would see something like this race or maybe the newly renovated Penticton Speedway on the racing schedule for the NASCAR Pinty Series in the future. Obviously, that's a big tough sell at the current time due to the cost of everything. Of course, we are heading out to Newfoundland, so you'd think we go from one end to the other. It definitely is possible. We were out there at Sun Valley years and years and years. We used to go out there and run Vernon, BC, and it was really, really a great racetrack. I really miss it, but the unfortunate part is that it is such a trek to get out there. Once again, though, guys, tune in each and every week on GeForce TV to get some fantastic racing coverage. Obviously, here on GeForce, you can catch the APC series. They'll be broadcasting every single one of those racing events, along with weekly racing from Moshweekon Speedway, Merrittville, Humberstone. Also, you'll get some of those races here on GeForce as well. And of course, you can't talk about GeForce TV without our guys Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey with Race Rivals Race Chat every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. definitely tune in for those guys. But how about this one? I'm curious what people that are watching want to say. Do you think you'd want to go and see a NASCAR Pinty Series race here? Obviously, it is a beautiful facility. The RS1 Series, very similar looking cars to the NASCAR Pinty Series. Avion Motorsports, Trevor Siebert and his entire team, guys that used to be in this series. Riley Siebert, of course, won the championship last year. They have a really cool partnership with Super Seal, and they're hoping to continue to grow this series. So having Gary Clute and JP Bergeron out there was definitely a very cool thing. So as we head to Autodrome Chaudière for this upcoming race, we do need to take a look at the point standings as we head into the event. So Kevin Lacroix currently is your points leader over Trayton Lapcevich, Alex Tagliani, Gary Clute, and Brandon Watson. That's 3 RGC Sports guys in the top 5. Now, what we can expect at Chaudière, extremely close action, extremely rough racing between everybody. There's not a lot of room to get away. Now, what we've had at this racetrack in the past is close action, yes, but we've also had rain, and that's impacted the last couple of years. And unfortunately, it is still looking that way, that we're going to see rain of some sort this weekend. Now, hopefully there will be building up a vortex there. You'll also have their weekly Sportsman Series that'll be racing the same time. I've had a lot of questions regarding the pit entry for fans. Now, it's still it seems to be very undecided here. I've spoken with somebody from the racetrack who said that they will be available and you can buy them at the pit gate. However, I've also seen other people saying that they're waiting on a decision from NASCAR. However, some people within the situation at NASCAR have said this is a track decision. So it's really kind of up in the air. Gary Calling, very nice to see you once again. I really appreciate you tuning in, Gary. It's always nice to hear from you. But yes, we got a top 5 with 3 RGC Sports guys. Obviously, we've got the contact between Gary Clute and Kevin Lacroix in the last race. Gary was on Race Rivals Race Chat last week and did say he would not do anything too crazy. Didn't sound like that's not the type of driving that he does. Kevin, again, you can make the decision whether or not you believe that move was dirty or clean, whether it was just a racing deal. That's completely up to you. But definitely, one thing I can say is that Kevin Lacroix certainly certainly has a difficult time getting people to believe that stuff is legit a mistake, or that he was not as aggressive as people say he was. But we know Kevin Lacroix and that whole team they really won a championship, so he's going to be tough to beat. But I think we're going back into a really, really short oval, which we know Brandon Watson is extremely good at. Now, Brandon Watson, coming from the APC series, he's also run a lot of racing down south in the late models on short tracks there, so he knows how to do it. But you add in Trayton Lapcevich, and Trayton has never been to this racetrack either, but they're both extremely good on really short tracks. Gary Clute might be somebody who we have to take a look at. He is sitting 4th on the points right now, but we know Gary more as a road and street course driver. This will be his real big test, because I think he's not performed as well on the ovals. He can do it for sure. He's had good runs on ovals before, but we always know him more for his road and street courses. Now, these are the guys who I think you're going to be watching. Marc-Antoine Cameron and Andrew Ranger. Obviously, GM Paillet Racing has had a topsy-turvy start to the season. They started off really hot, didn't have the results that I think either one of them deserve for how well they performed, but we know that we won't be expecting that to stay the same. We know that they're going to get out there and that team is going to perform. We've already seen how good they are. They just need a little bit of luck. Sean says that Gary owes him a favor. I'd say, yeah, favor is a nice way of putting it. That's that's a very polite way of saying it, Sean. Yeah, I definitely think so. That he owes him a favor, and and probably isn't going to go to any bumper-to-bumper stores anytime soon. But yeah, LP Dumoulin sitting in 7th place. JP Bergeron, who I think is actually going to do really well here. A bit of a surprise is that Alex Gannett is not on the entry list. And I know there was going to be some ovals that he was going to run, but it doesn't appear that that's going to happen here. Dexter Stacey and DJ Kennington. Obviously, we know DJ is always good on the ovals. Mark Dilley in that number 64 in 11th. Larry Jackson 12th. TJ Renamato, Brett Taylor, Brian Cathcart, Wallace Stacey, Andrew Ranger 17th in the points. He definitely needs to have a great run. Can't afford a couple more of bad finishes. Glenn Stiers and Sam Fellows. Now, the guy who you will see back this week in that number 8 car will be Raphael Lessard, winner the last time we were at this racetrack. I think he's going to be a solid pick. Actually, he was my pick for who's going to win. I think it's going to be close with him, Watson, Lapsevich. I'd throw Cameron in there too if they have the great start that they had last year. But it is also the very first start for a couple of guys this year. So let's take a look at what we have for the entry list. Now, this was the entry list that was put on for the Quick-Wick. Let me put it right up here. This Quick-Wick 250 presented by Saint Hubert. So thank you to Quick-Wick and to Saint Hubert for putting on this amazing show at Chaudier. 250 laps. Interesting. It's not going to be a 300 lapper. 250 laps. Glenn Stiers, we expect full season from him. We also expect, of course, JP Bergeron, TJ Renamato, Brett Taylor, and it's now Raphael Lessard's going to be in the 8 car now. You'll see him again, all ovals for him. Brendan Watson, who will be somebody to watch out for. Duro King Autosport. Now, this is interesting because this was a team that we were expecting to see at Sunset. They decided against doing that. But, of course, he's a track champion here. He is going to be good in that number 12 Dodge. Duro King Autosport, of course, a new team in this series. He has run with Kevin Lacroix's organization before. So I think we can expect some pretty good things from Matthew Kingsbury from Blainville, Quebec. My apologies. DJ Kennington, Alex Tagliani, Trayton Lapsevich, Andrew Ranger, LP Dumoulin, Gary Clute. Again, these are all full-time guys. Dexter Stacey, or Wallace Stacey, Brian Cathcart, Kevin Lacroix, Larry Jackson, Marc-Antoine Cameron, and Sam Fellows. And it is the first start of the season for Donald Teege. The Don is back from Boischatel, Quebec in that number 80 car. Absolutely love that we're going to see the number 80 back out on the racetrack, his own team this time around. And, you know, they went out there, they practiced, they got out there, they got that brand new car that they got from Dave White, or McCall, maybe it was McCall. I'm not 100% sure which one they're going with this time around. Maybe a McCall chassis. And that number 80 car, we definitely expect to see some great results from the Don coming back racing once again. Of course, he's run some ARCA races this season. He's done a lot. Yeah, Sean, it was a shame. Again, I think there's a combination of stuff that happened there. I wouldn't go out and say it was a full-on punt. It may look like that. Glenn Stiers is going to be a busy man for sure. Sean, that's 100% true. I think there's even more that we can expect from Glenn Stiers that probably he hasn't even told or announced yet. So this is what's going to be great is that we're going to have, right now we have 22 cars listed on this entry list. Now, this is NASCAR's official entry list. This does not mean that this is everybody. This is what they've registered so far. Now, on Chaudier's Facebook page, they have already confirmed the 37 of Simon Dion-Vienne, which would be great to see. We haven't seen him in a couple of years. So Simon Dion-Vienne, well, we did see him, but he hasn't been actually at Chaudier because we haven't been here. So the 37 Dodge, expect to see him out there once again, which is great because, we definitely want to see more cars, but I think we can definitely say with more cars at this racetrack, more chaos is likely. Now, we'll go through the schedule here. Now, obviously, I'm not from Quebec. I only know what I was taught in the years that I had to take French in school. I do wish I dust up a little bit more on it, but here, let's take a look here as you take a look to the right here, there we go. There we go. So here's your rundown of the schedule. You see practice at 11:20 until 12:30 for the NASCAR Pinty Series. Then the qualifications for the NASCAR Pinty Series taking place at 4 o'clock. 2 groups of 15 qualifiers. Obviously, that's not going to happen there. Or 2 sessions for 15 minutes. If you can speak French, you can just confirm that for me. Autograph session is going to take place there. We see there at 5:30. And then the race itself, the NASCAR Pinty Series, it's 4:30 to take place, 4:30 to 5. So it's not a lot of time. So hopefully the time trials go by really quickly, and they can do that. You're going to do the time trials more than likely right on the racetrack, hopefully, so that you can get a good opportunity to get up nice and close to the cars. Then, of course, you've got the race itself, 250 laps. And then, of course, don't forget the modifieds, and I believe it's the Sportsman Series as well. You've got 100 laps before the actual Pinty's race. So that's it's going to be a very, very cool show here. Now, one thing I noticed here on their page is that they have the old Pinty Series logo. We need to make sure that they get that fixed for the next time. Tickets still are available, but get them before they are completely sold out. There is such a thing, though, general admission tickets, but there are going to be some reserved seats. So you want to make sure that you get those as well. Okay, so definitely make sure you check that out. You want to make sure that you get there, get your tickets. We got a couple people that are able to get out to the racetrack this season. We got somebody that's going to take a 5-hour drive, 5.5 hours. Jonathan Naus is going to make a trip to Chaudier just to be able to see the NASCAR Pinty Series there. So we're looking at 23 cars. There's a lot that we could look forward to in terms of chaos, but again, we want to remember that there's a lot of guys here that need to get up and get victories to get themselves up in the points. If this season is going to be contested as hotly as we expect, you cannot have many races where you have a mulligan or you have an issue. Right now, Andrew Ranger has had 2 bad weekends. He cannot afford to have another one, or else he might be completely out of an opportunity to win the championship this year, especially with how promising everybody else has been to start this season. Now, as we mentioned before, there were some other names that raced. This one's not going to have as good of a graphic on it because it was hard to kind of fit here, but Trayton Lapsovich actually was able to get out here and race the Outlaw late model. And unfortunately, it didn't go well for him. Him and his brother really didn't have the best of times out there. But a first U.S. race for the number 24, I believe it was, he was racing for Trayton Lapsovich. And unfortunately, it resulted in an accident. He had checked up, but the guy clearly behind him did not. So ended up right close to have a very nice view of the car. So Trayton Lapsovich, he'll be back in the Pinty Series this upcoming weekend. And again, to remember, that number 20 car won the first race of the season on a short track. So we can definitely look potentially to see him do the same this time around. Now, it's the 3rd race of the season. However, it is not the only race that is going to take place in June for the NASCAR Pinty Series. They are going out east to, Eastbound Park in Newfoundland. Now, this is the first time that they'll be going out to that race. There's still a lot of stuff that needs to be decided. Unfortunately, we did find out that Phil Fowler, the local driver who was going to make the event, is now not able to do so. There's a couple of other names that I've heard. I'm not going to go out and release any sort of information about that because that's not my place. Those drivers and teams will release it when they feel confident and are ready to do so. It's hard to announce stuff when you're really not 100% sure if you actually are going to follow through or be able to race. So that's kind of the biggest thing here. But for those that have continued to stay in, I'm curious to hear what people expect from these next 2 races in terms of race winners. Obviously, June, not the busiest time for our racing season. We still have 2 races, yes, but they're split up every so often. You got week off and then a race, week off and then a race. And then, of course, after Eastbound Park, we will head to Toronto on July 15th. So you'll even have a bit more time from Eastbound Park before we head back into the next race at Toronto. So one of the cool things about this series is that it's continuing to expand. We're continuing to have new race teams. And of course, one of the teams that I'm going to tell you about right now has a new Facebook page. Of course, this is, boom. This is who you want to follow. If you're going to follow the Paille Racing team, you're going to look up Paille Course / racing. And you can follow them on social media. You can follow all of their media regarding their NASCAR Pinty Series team and any other team that they are involved with, okay? So definitely look up Paille Course Racing, JC Paille, that entire team. They have a fantastic group of people there who are really putting in some fantastic work as they try to continue to do well in their very first season. And I don't expect that things are going to go too badly for this organization. They've got some solid people involved. Now, unfortunately, when we go towards the NASCAR Pinty Series this weekend, there's really not much else in terms of solid news that I have to go over with you guys today. So we're going to, absolutely, Sean. One of your comments there, not Pinty Series stuff, Pointy Series, Pinty Series. Come on, man. But how about Ken Schrader in Canada this weekend, Friday at the Big O and Saturday at Maryville? I don't think, Sean, that that's the only time you're going to see him. He is somebody who we're expecting to potentially be in the Pinty Series race. Kenny has the belief that he has a ride for Ohsweken Speedway. At least that is what Clinton Jeffrey had said on Race Rivals Race Chat. And so Ken Schrader, I think we can expect to see for the Pinty's race. I wouldn't be shocked if we see somebody like Kenny Wallace as well come up and race. We already know Stuart Friesen is going to race. I think Glenn Stiers, while Kyle Larson appears to be out of the possibility for this season, it's not the end possibility, because while he might not be able to make it, we also know that there's a lot of other Cup guys that have great dirt experience. There's other good dirt racers that we could also see. I think you're going to potentially see some dirt racers from Quebec make a start in this race. And then, of course, there's always the Cup and or Xfinity Truck Series names that potentially you'll see that will come and race on dirt. Now, if I'm going to be honest with you, I look at it and go, we have a couple of the names. There's a couple of guys that we could look at. Christopher Bell would be one of them. And Christopher Bell is somebody who has raced on this racetrack before. He's raced at Ohsweken. Rico Abreu has been there. I don't think we're going to go out and see, I mean, I had thrown it out there, maybe we'd see somebody like Smoke. That would be awesome if that were the case. Probably not. It would be an awesome deal if we did get to see him, but the likelihood is that that isn't going to happen. I go and say, okay, what is it that we want? Do we want to have Cup Series come in and kind of take spots from the best kind of guys in the series? We want to get some of the dirt racers. We know that the best thing about this race at Ohsweken is that we're potentially going to see some of those weekly racers that compete on the dirt in Canada all the time. I think seeing Dave Bailey in this race for a guy like Dave Jacobs is going to be fantastic. Gary Calling with a really good pick here. What about Matt Crafton? You know what? That's a solid pick. Matt Crafton, you know what? I like that. That's a very solid pick. Now, the one thing you have to remember is that Ohsweken is taking place the Tuesday before they race at Watkins Glen. So they'll be in New York, which is close enough. I think Dave Bailey is, I agree with you, Gary. I think Dave Bailey is going to be the one to watch, but he's also going to be so much fun to see him in this race. You know, we're lucky that we have such a diverse schedule. Toronto, obviously, I think there's one guy, maybe Max, that could be a surprise to show up there. My guess would be, if there's anybody that would shock me, it would be like a James Hinchcliffe. I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility for him to race at Toronto, but there's not a lot of other names that we're hearing that are going to come in for a NASCAR Pinty's race. Obviously, I'd love to see names like Thomas Navu, Matt Clark, guys that are in the open wheel scene. Hell, give me Tony Kanaan. That would be wicked to see Tony Kanaan. That would be awesome. Yeah, Garrett. I don't know. Cletus McFarland. We want to make sure that we have cars finish the race here, Sean. But yeah, I mean, Crafton would be pretty big. I think you're going to see a lot of those other names. Like I wouldn't say, Garrett. The thing to say don't think of Cup guys, but I look at it and go, it's true. It might not be feasible. That's absolutely positively true. But I wouldn't put it past Glenn Stiers to go out and try and get a Haley Deegan. We know Haley is great on dirt. Again, the reality of the situations are, though, it's a little tough because, for example, Chase Briscoe. If Chase Briscoe were to race here, he probably would need to get permission from Ford to do so, and then he would have to be in a Ford car. And there's only one team that really runs the Ford. So that's one of those, it's a situational thing. I think that's really, it's going to be very difficult for them to be able to do this with the Cup guys because of those allegiances. Now, obviously, Chevy is the biggest representation in the series this year. We don't have any Dodges in the Cup series. There is no Toyota in the Pinty series. Now, maybe that's something that we can look towards, because I think we've said it for time and time again that Toyotas kind of would be a really big deal to come into the series. There's a lot more attention. You know, I absolutely agree with you, Gary, that she could. But maybe even if it's not Haley Deegan, Gary, maybe even Jessica Friesen would be a possibility, because, you know, she's raced in the truck series. She hasn't had the best of luck there, but I think she could do a great job if she wants to come in and race alongside her husband. And, you know, I think, like I said, Rico Abreu is somebody I still think that would be really cool. I don't know about feasibility, whether or not his schedule would allow it. He would be somebody. Christopher Bell, obviously. We've had names like Ryan Vargas from the Xfinity Series has expressed interest. Josh Williams, Myatt Snyder. Those are all guys who definitely could take it. Yeah, it's true. Garrett, we need manufacturer support back in Pinty's to attract more drivers. That's exactly what we need, because the problem is that we don't have it here, but they have it down there. So it would be, I would not, that's the hurdle, is I can't see Toyota allowing Christopher Bell to race if he's going to be in a Chevrolet or if he's going to be in a Dodge. I can't see it. Now, obviously, back in the day, they raced in the Pinty series at Mosport when they were part of the Toyota development program, and they ran Dodges. So it is possible. We've seen it, but that's when they were truck series drivers. That's not when they were in the Cup series. So it's a completely different story, right? So Garrett's definitely on there. So there you go. Gary Calling is like a fountain of knowledge here. He always seems to come in with some great information. Bobby Slack is working on Dave Bailey's car. It better be the Brewster Baker car, though. That's the thing, Gary. I think they have to go all the way with Dave Bailey coming in. Any lady would be great. Absolutely, it would. It would be awesome. I think the series needs it. Obviously, Chantel Kalika will be out there for us, and I'm still trying to get some sponsors. Hopefully, we can get there. I hear Matt Clark is wanting to race Toronto in a Pinty's car, which is fantastic news. That's great to hear. He's an excellent driver. I think Mike Sullivan from RaceCanada.ca, I think he would do something to try and get Jonathan Woolridge in a car. I think he would be somebody else. He's a big Ford guy, so we need that. So again, we need that factory support. We've only got one team running the Ford, and they've only got one Mustang. They're running the fusion for other races. So, uh, who is building the Pinty dirt car chassis, or do they run the chassis they have? I believe everybody will have a car that they're using specific for the dirt, but I don't believe they're building any specific chassis. It's basically you're going to use a car that you already have, but you're using it for the dirt. Well, that's a guy right there that I'm actually really interested to hear what he has to say about this, because Dexter Stacy is in the chat right now. NASCAR Pinty Series driver, podium finisher at CTMP. Dexter Stacy, welcome into the chat. And he is going back to his dirt roots, and we've seen it before. He had the opportunity to step into a one of those, a dirt modified at GP3R, was battling for the front of the field last year. I don't know if Dexter, I believe, said he was going to do that again this year. Marc-Antoine Cameron, I think. Again, this is the thing, is that people always look at that. You're going to look at the same guys, but there could be somebody like an Andrew Ranger who could shock some people. I think Dexter Stacy will be somebody that'll shock people. Rafael Assar, because these guys run dirt on the regular. So you have somebody like a Dave Bailey. Yeah, he'll be good. But you've got a lot of dirt racers from Quebec as well. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see some surprise names. It would be awesome to see somebody like a Jordan Poirier come out and race on the Tuesday. You're gonna have guys that are gonna be there on the Monday anyway to race. So if they're available and they've got the funding, you could definitely see that. Now, I'm very curious to see how guys like Mark Dilley, TJ Renamoto run. But even somebody like a Glenn Stiers, who is known as the dirt guy, he owns this racetrack. He kills it on dirt. How is he going to be able to translate that into the NASCAR Pinty Series car? Because it is something completely different. Now, I was able to talk with Kevin Trevelyan, who races in the Ontario Sportsman Series. He was a long time racer in CASCAR. He also, of course, has raced dirt before as well. And he was testing, because if you're not aware, the Ontario Sportsman Series, which is a smaller division in Ontario, they run basically Pinty Series cars. They do 100-lap races on short tracks. They're actually going to go on dirt as well this year. They're going 2 races to Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. I believe it's formerly known as Buxton. And he was out there testing their car and said that, this is going to be fun. He actually predicted that those cars, the OSS cars, which are essentially the same, for some minor changes, obviously, that they're actually going to be not as chaotic as people think. So that's interesting, because I think we're all anticipating that this is going to be a completely nuts show. But it would be cool, I think, if next season Oshwekin partners up. Okay, so so I did get some confirmation that we are going to see Simon Dion-Vienne, and that's fascinating stuff. It's excellent stuff. He has confirmed to me. I hope I was allowed to share that. I hope he's listening. But Simon Dion-Vienne is going to be there at show day. This is amazing news to see another guy. So we're going to have 23 cars at least. I don't know if you get any small... the only other guy, and I was told that by Joel Robinson that he is not going to be there, but I would love to see Alex Labbe, because it's an off week for the Xfinity Series. I'd like to see Alex Gannett. I don't know if we could run, though, 24 or 25 cars at that racetrack. It does seem a little crazy to do that. Dexter, yes, sir. We're going to go back for the win. We should have had in GP3R with the Dirt Sportsman. If you guys haven't seen that, you guys need to watch. What's great about Trois Rivières, GP3R, they stream their races on YouTube. So you are able to catch it. That's a race you don't want to miss. We've seen names like Marc-Antoine Cameron. And, of course, Gary, I wouldn't be shocked if that gets done, for somebody to honor Bob Merrifield with the car done up the old school way. I would love to see that. Bob, if you guys don't know, Bob Merrifield was also a CASCAR, longtime racer, longtime sportsman racer. Unfortunately, I believe he had a stroke and is not able to race. But obviously, Bob is a legend in the racing scene, and definitely has been around it for so many years. I believe his family still has his car, and I would love to see that car come out and just pace the laps around the racetrack, just to see it run again. It would be really cool to see that, Gary. I definitely think that and I've said it before. If you catch us, if you catch the Stickers and Scuffs podcast, of course, follow us on Facebook. We cover the NASCAR Pinty Series and a lot of other racing series across Ontario, do driver interviews and at-track footage. We just got some track footage at Sunset Speedway for the Ontario Sportsman Series, and I've said it before that I really believe that series would work perfectly with NASCAR Pinty Series as a companion event on the local short tracks, maybe even a dirt track as well. Try and get some guys some additional experience before they head into the NASCAR Pinty Series, get some sponsors, some attention, help grow, get some cars that are available, some chassis that they could be transferable to use in both series. I think it would be a good way to have somebody like an RGT Sports or a GM Paillet have a developmental team of sorts. It's definitely something that I believe strongly in. It was something that we saw years and years ago. Gary would remember the NASCAR Sportsman Series for many years, and when NASCAR came in, they did not take the Sportsman Series with them. They only had interest in the NASCAR Series, so it would be really cool if we had that. And I think the same way about that is I think as the RS1 Series could be perfect as like a Pinty's West Series. There's lots of options out there for racing in Canada, but one of the biggest things is that it has to become one. We aren't ARCA, and it's not a shot at ARCA, but what it is a shot at is the system that they have. You can use ARCA as a developmental series, but the NASCAR Pinty Series does not need to be treated as a developmental series for the top three divisions, because it isn't. We've had some guys go down there, but the reality is it's not a pipeline to get people into the top rides. It really isn't. And what would be nice is if we were able to get this Pinty Series to become a Cup Series of such in Canada, where it is treated as such, and we get big partnerships, big sponsors, big TV deal. But we need to get to that point, right? We need help to do it. Put Alex Nagy in the car. Ooh, Gary, I don't know. I don't know if he wants to do that, but I would be. You know what? Gary Calling has, a great mind, and Gary is somebody who I absolutely love. Robin Buck, Rob Neely. I've said it for a while. Either they bring the OSS in to do it, or you do it for the NASCAR. There needs to be a throwback night. I mean, a NASCAR throwback night would be iconic. Obviously, it's not the easiest things to do, but I asked Robin, actually. I saw him at CTMP. I got to meet Robin Buck for the first time and asked him if he'd ever come back, and he said it's all about money. It's all about funding. But if he could find the company to do it, I think Rob Neely would actually be really good on the dirt, actually, Gary, because I believe he runs. Does he not run a dirt? He runs a dirt car, I believe. Rob Neely does. So, yeah, I think this is we're definitely got some traction for 2023. We've got 5 years, of course, already dealt with. There was some sponsorship news that I actually remember here. I didn't actually make a post in this setting here, but WeatherTech Canada is signed on for 3 more seasons with LP Dumoulin. How about that? The champion, 3-time champion, gets 3 more years with such an amazing, dedicated company like WeatherTech Canada. They do a fantastic job. They really are committed to motorsports in Canada, and of course, to have a guy like LP Dumoulin still in the series. He is now a Hall of Famer, a Canadian Motorsport Hall of Famer, LP Dumoulin, and that's absolutely fantastic that we'll be able to see the number 47 WeatherTech Dodge back out on the racetrack. But of course, we'll take one more look at our entry list, of course, for this upcoming weekend, and then we'll get to some picks. I think this is what you're going to look at. You got Steyrs, Bergeron, Renamato, Taylor, Lassard, Watson, Kingsbury, Kennington, Tagliani, Lapsevich, Ranger, LP Dumoulin. I forgot to mention 37 of Dion Vienne is going to be there. Gary Clute, Dilly, Wallace Stacey, Brian Cathcart, Kevin Lacroix. Donald Teague makes his first start of the season. And then we've got Brian Cathcart, Kevin Lacroix, Donald Teague, Jackson, Larry Jackson, Dexter Stacey, Marc-Antoine Cameron, and Sam Fellows. Robin held my oldest daughter when I went to work for him. She was 7. She's now 21. Yeah, see, Robin's been doing it quite a while, eh? Hey, Gary. I'm sorry, you can hear my cat playing in the background. She's running all over the place like a crazy person. But we get to the time where we're going to have to pick a winner from this list. Well, I want to see people's picks in the chats. If you are there, I need to see what people are going to choose, because there's a lot to choose from. This is one of those seasons where you really can't pick one person to win the race, because there could be multiple guys that could do it. So I look at the list and I go, okay, well, Brandon Watson for sure. Oh, but you know what? I also think Raphael Lessard. Oh, but I also think DJ Kennington. Oh, but I also think Marc-Antoine Cameron. Oh, but I also think Donald Teague. Oh, but Kevin Lacroix. So you literally have so many different people that you could look at potentially to win the race. Now, my prediction on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast was that we were going to see Raphael Lessard or Trayton Lapsevich win this race. Now, I believe I ended up actually picking Trayton Lapsevich to go back-to-back, but I could have picked Lessard. Could be wrong. And then my sleeper pick, which isn't really much of a sleeper pick, was Brandon Watson. Now, because I have the avenue of another show, I'm going to be able to make another pick. So I'm going to say Lessard for this pick. But for an underrated or a sleeper pick, I'm actually going to go with Matthew Kingsbury, because Matthew Kingsbury is the track champion here. He knows how to do it. Bassett on YouTube, I believe, is saying DJ Kennington, not Kennedy, but DJ Kennington is going to win at Show Day, which would be pretty interesting. He has slimmed down a lot. He's put a lot of effort into training and getting ready for this season. So Bassett, I definitely think that that's a definite pick. Gary Clute says Gary Calling, which would be another interesting pick, because we don't know Gary's not been somebody that's typically very doesn't perform to the highest, I'd say, on the ovals, but is getting a lot of help this season. So that is a very good pick as well. Sleeper picks as well. You've got to pick somebody that you maybe won't win, but will perform splendidly and surprise people. I think somebody like a Brett Taylor could be a name like that. He had a pretty miserable start to his season so far. And that's Kevin. I don't know if Sean, if you're making a joke with calling him Lacroix, but no, Kevin Lacroix. I think again, somebody else. He's going home, and I don't think he's going to be nice about it. I think he wants to go back to back, extend that championship lead. And like we said, Kevin is in that seat. That seat for a reason. He's in there to win races, and I don't think he's going to have any issue getting to the front. But of course, we always have to look at, well, yeah, he'd be good to get up there and to win. But something else we're going to have to look for is well, you're going to have to look for probably who is going to get into it with other people, because that's something else we're going to see. Lapsevich for Sean's sleeper pick, which, yeah, I would say that's a pretty good sleeper pick. I don't know of how much of a sleeper pick it will be, because he does do pretty good on those short tracks. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'd say, yeah, John Fletcher on the box. Gary Collins says he took Lessard to the win last time. It's very interesting. And of course, the biggest thing is going to be, are we going to be racing to 250 laps, or are we going to be racing to 125 with the weather? We really hope that that the weather is going to stay okay. It's not promising, but obviously we want to make that trek out to Autodrome Chaudier worth it. I want to thank everybody that's come in and had a part of the conversation tonight. Of course, we are here mostly and I say mostly because it's not always every Monday that we're able to be out there. I want to thank each and every one of you that has come in and had been part of the conversation. It really is, though, Sean, it is a roll of the dice. You could literally pick 6, 8, 10 people that could potentially win this race. And you know what? In the NASCAR Pinty Series, sometimes the most obvious answer is right in front of you and you didn't pick it. Somebody like a Mark Dilley could surprise us. You know, he did have a solid run in the first race of the season, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's some very big surprises. We don't typically see mechanical troubles right off the start, but in the end, the fans will win. That's 100% true. Gary calling. It's like if we were going back to Flamborough with the Pinty Series this season. As you would know, excitement is the name of the game there. It is close racing action. It's chaos. But are we going to have a new rivalry out of this? We got a new rivalry last week. We have a continuing rivalry with Camarand and EHR. I'm very curious to see how this goes. And I'm telling you, if Lessard has the opportunity to win this race and Camarand is in front of him, I think we're going to see a bit of a crazy move. And even vice versa, to be honest with you. I think if Camarand is in front, we could see something crazy as well. Nothing like it. Nothing like the NASCAR Pinty Series in the week before we go racing. We'll be looking forward to the 11th, of course. It doesn't start at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a little bit earlier than that. I believe it's on 6 o'clock for your NASCAR Pinty Series. Make sure you check out Flow Racing. If you don't have it already, you have content for the entire year across all of NASCAR's racing divisions. ARCA, you can get the wheel and modifieds, which is worth it alone. You get dirt action, you get the tracks. Dexter, I would be there in a heartbeat to go back to Flamborough. I love that racetrack. I'm very disappointed that we're not back this season. But maybe in the future, NASCAR will look at it and go, hey, let's go. We'll add 2 more races. We'll go to Peterborough and Flamborough. And then maybe we'll go out and they'll race dirt at Autodrome Drummond. Or maybe we go to Montmagny in Quebec. Senaire, people have told me we've got to go back to Senaire. I don't know if it's ready for it or not. But, there's lots of options for tracks. We just got to make sure we go out to them and continue to support them week in and week out. That's right. And make sure you support your weekly racing tracks, your weekly racing drivers. Help support the NASCAR Pinty Series by going out and thanking people, thanking the drivers, thanking those sponsors. And make sure you go out and purchase your Quick Wicks, your Leland Fasteners. Go out and get a car from GM Paillet. Go out to Oshwegan Speedway. Go out and get yourself some Valema water, or get your maintenance done by North Country Property Maintenance. If you need metal products, go to Shear Metal Products. Get your auto parts from APC. But of course, when you're filling up, you got to make sure you get your oil put in your vehicle with Castrol Edge. Or if you need to rent a truck, go to Cathcart Trucking. If you need that little spark because it's a little bit later in your life, go make sure you get your Viagra. There's lots of stuff that you got to go out and do. Your WeatherTech floor liners for your vehicle. Go out and get some new tech wood for your countertops or your flooring. I don't know if I'm all out of ideas here. Go out if you're up in the going to get your vehicle filled up. Go to Bully's Truck Stop, and of course get yourself a nice, tasty Love Good Fats granola bar, or I guess it's a protein bar, and support all the drivers and the teams within the NASCAR Pinty Series, within NASCAR, within racing in Canada. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in once again to the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour. We are going to wrap it up a little bit earlier tonight. There's not as much to go over, but we've got some confirmations that Simone Giovian is going to join in. 23 cars we are expecting for the race. The Quick Wick 250 presented by Saint Hubert at Autodrome Chaudier. We've got some predictions. Of course, the Quick Wick fire starters. Sean, that is the race sponsor. Of course, we got to thank Dave and Frank for putting it on and allowing Jonathan Naus, to win tickets on the NASCAR Pinty Series group. If you are not a part of the NASCAR Pinty Series community Facebook group, we have just hit over 4.2K. We are going to try and get to 5,000 members by the end of the racing season. Hopefully we can do that. And definitely we would love to have you as a part of the the Stickers and Scuffs podcast Facebook group as well, and a subscriber on our channels. I want to thank Garrett Teamersma for showing up. Gary Collins, Sean, Terry. You're a little bit late, Terry. We're about to wrap it up, but Bassett, no good. Thank you guys for all tuning in tonight for the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour on GeForce TV. Make sure you tune in tomorrow because you have Race Rivals Race Chat once again with Adam and Clinton. They have lots of great action to talk about. The APC series, the Superstock series, and of course all the dirt action from Most Weekend Speedway. You can definitely expect to see it. Have yourselves a great night. We'll catch you all next Monday.